rest days are kinda like pissing. Man, rest days are for pussies and soy boys who aren't dedicated enough. Hey guys, welcome back to the Average Lifter Experience. What are we talking about today? As you probably read in the title, we are breaking down rest days, why they exist, and how you should structure them. So let's get right into it. Why do rest days even exist? At their simplest, rest days are just recovery for your body. That's exactly why everyone uses them. Doesn't matter if it's Arnold or Dr. Mike, from all the way, from the golden times to up to now, they all do and did rest days because, they just work. On a rest day, your whole body recovers, okay? Joints, muscle, and your mind from all the effort you've been putting in. And they help you keep mental strength and prevent injury. Basically, they're just a win, as long as you don't overdo it. So, let me break it down a little bit more scientifically. So, when you lift weights, you actually cause tiny tears in your muscle fiber. But don't freak out, that's just how muscle grows. Your body repairs those tears and builds them stronger. But this only happens during rest. If you never give your muscles that time to rebuild, they're basically breaking down without any chance to grow. Also, your nervous system needs to recharge. It controls everything, from muscle contractions to mental focus. And, without rest, your coordination and strength actually drops, which is awful, just for everyday wear and tear. So, plus, think about your joints and connective tissue. They don't really grow like muscles, but they do wear down and get stronger. So, rest days help those tissues repair, which reduces your injury risk. And that's about it, So, all in all, we can say rest days are science and not just a lazy excuse. So, let's get over the different views on rest days. Man, rest days are for pussies and soy boys who aren't dedicated enough. Classic Jim Brown nonsense. To be clear, rest days aren't for the weak and they don't make you any less dedicated. Actually, they show you take the gym seriously and prioritize gains over ego. And, let's be honest, between you and me, how much ego do you really have left after popping your chest in front of a gym crush? Yeah, I kind of thought so. So, on the flip side, rest days isn't just, roses and butterflies and rainbows. There's also the bad side of it. Some people use rest days as an excuse to skip the gym too often, and that's a bad idea because you won't make the progress that you want. So, this kind of pressure to never rest, comes from gym culture where grinding non-stop is glorified. But let me tell you that mentality often leads to burnout and injury. You see, those guys who brag about training twice a day, 7 days a week, they're usually the ones sidelined with injuries and mental burnout. And to be honest, you've got a bunch of other things you have to do in your life. It's not like there's only the gym and that's all. I mean, you probably also have friends or something like that. So, having time for them is also pretty good. And so you want to spend the least time possible in the gym that gives you the most amount of gains. And being longer in the gym might be cool for you, but still it's not the best idea. You're longer in the gym, but you make less gains. Kind of dumb. So, and I personally, if you were to ask me, it is way cooler to train smart, which means pushing hard and resting smart. That's how you build a long-term, sustainable relationship with the gym, instead of burning out after a few months. So, when to take rest days? So, how do you know how much rest you should take and when? Don't worry, I mean, you clicked on this video and I got you. So, first, if you've been training hard for 4 to 5 days straight, take a rest day to regroup and recharge. Second, if you wake up feeling like a slug or that a fucking train has hit you, well, take the rest. No point really in dragging yourself through a workout that you'll hate, but don't confuse that with just having no motivation, because some days you really don't want to go to the gym, but you should anyways. So really don't confuse those two. Or, if you confuse those two, well, you will just miss out on gains. Probably not the thing that you want. So, third, if you feel fine, but your performance is tanking, that's also a pretty good sign to rest. What other reason would your body have to, just drop? No reason there. So, now, rest day doesn't always mean total couch potato mode, Sometimes active rest is the way to go. But what is active rest? Well, it's low intensity stuff like walking, stretching, mobility drills, or just cycling every day. Or maybe even light calisthenics if you're really, really far into it, okay? So, why those things? Why do active rest? Well, they help your blood flow and speed up recovery without taxing your system, Training upon, already being completely cooked, that's kind of wasted time. But, really having this recovery helps you mentally, staying sharp and not feeling like you're a complete waste on rest days, and feeling productive and still being in your routine. If like the first thing you do in the morning is work out, well, still work out, but, in this active recovery type shit. So that, your routine doesn't get overly crazy. Okay. So, for example, after a tough leg day, I might go for a slow walk or do some hip mobility exercises the next day. But, usually I don't do any of those. I just go cycling, which I feel like is pretty cool and pretty fine. Also because I don't really get this insane fatigue in my legs. Okay. It also keeps me feeling fresh and ready to hit it hard again. Plus, it's a nice mental break without feeling totally lazy. As I mentioned before, usually on rest days you feel like a complete waste of space and energy and time and whatever, but that will really help you prevent feeling this awful. So, what is the key takeaway here? Rest days are kinda like pissing, When you really need to and it's like 3 a.m. and it's in the night, it just feels amazing and relieving, but when you don't, it just feels weird and gross. Yeah, okay, that analogy is kind of weird, but you kind of get the point, So, to sum it up, to finish this thing, rest days are growth days. Take them after 4 to 5 days of hard training if you feel drained or if your performance dips. Rest days are not off days. So, stick to your diet and maybe learn something new about the gym while you're not there. Kind of like watching this video. It brings you further, and in the next time you've got a rest, you will just think about me and just say, oh, active recovery or whatever the fuck you take away from this video. So, as I said, also don't forget, rest days are not permission to go wild on your diet. What you eat on rest days matters just as much. It's not like it just doesn't count. Your muscles need protein to rebuild, and good nutrition helps reduce inflammation and supports your recovery. And on this little side note, makes you also feel amazing, so why not just do it? Okay, some people underestimate this and think they can eat whatever on rest days. I mean, sure, you can, but you should really be focused on this. If you want the max output at the end, you should really focus on getting in that protein and sticking to your diet so that later down the line you won't regret it, so that you can think back and think, wow, past me was really smart with this decision. So don't disappoint future you. Well, that's it for me. Like, sub, and follow me on Insta, and I'll see you in the next one.